So it looks like we're all set. Let's do this. Let's go. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to my stream. I'm Pierre, your host. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I know that I did. It was awesome. Thank you very much. So, my friends, let's do like we always do. It's going to be an extremely short stream today because basically all I got to do is put some shading on this background. So we are going to be live for maybe tops 20 minutes, maybe shorter, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. But anyways, let's do like we always do. Let's go over to the computer over there, check out what we did on Friday, and then we'll start our day from there. So, where were we here? We started off, what did we basically do? Well, it's very simple. We just added the background color. Actually, what we're seeing right now is what we did on Thursday, because on Friday, I actually added a second coat to hide all the paintbrush strokes. So that's basically what I did on Friday. So today, what are we going to do? Well, like I just mentioned, I am going to do add some shadowing to this, slightly darker violet, pourpre, whatever you want to call this, light purple. But I know on the camera, when there's a lot of contrast, it looks great. In real life, though, it doesn't look that good. If you're doing some shadowing, it's got to be very subtle. The guys who buy my paintings, they look at these paintings at my gallery or in my studio. They don't buy them because they see the video on TV. So it's important that the reality of where I am is what counts and not what looks good on the video. So I'm going to try to find a shade that's slightly darker than what I have, which is not really obvious because the paint usually gets darker as it dries. So you kind of, sometimes I try it and it's too dark, the shadowing's too dark, and I have to kind of go over it and make it lighter, and kind of a pain in the neck. I like kind of doing things and having them click the first time. And then sometimes I think it's going to darken and look better, and it doesn't. So let's just hope like the forces of nature are with me today, and that I can find the right tone, the right hue on the first shot. Now, the ideal thing, I'm going to start off with a little bit darker, and then I might try to go a little bit lighter than this to really have like 3 shades. Now, of course, this is just the background. You'll never see it because there's going to be so many other details on top of this painting, but that subtleness is really what gives it a certain amount of richness. I mean, it's so subtle that it really plays on your subconscious more than anything else. But still, I don't want to screw that up. And I have in the past. I screwed it up, and with all the details on top, it wasn't that big of a deal. But let's say I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I want to do things right. And if I can, get as close to perfection, if such a thing exists. I still have my doubts on that. But anyways. Doesn't mean you can't try. So, put this away. And what kind of a paintbrush am I going to use? I have several that I like using for shadowing, like these 2 guys, for example, or even this one here. But I think I'm going to go with this kind of a paintbrush. It's about 1 inch wide. There we go. So that should do the trick. I can put these guys away. There we go. And I'm just going to add water to my white paint first to try to get the texture of this white paint to be nice. Because it's kind of stiff. I don't know if it's because of the cold or because it's a new jar of paint. I'm not sure. But anyway, so I'm just going to work this a little bit, and then I'll bring in the purple. I mean, since this is just shadowing, I don't need that much of an amount of paint. So let me just bring in, you know what, I'm going to go on camera number 1 over here, and we can do this together. So let me bring this baby over here. There we go, get out of the way. And I'll bring this down here. I got a jar of water right here from Friday, so that's pretty cool. So as you can see, I have my white paint here, a lot of purple right there, and very subtly, I'm just going to bring in the purple here. I hate wasting my paint because it costs so much. You wouldn't believe how expensive materials are. So I often don't do enough. I guess I'm a little stingy when it comes to that. When I can see for the amount of canvas we have to cover, I probably don't have enough paint. So you know what? I am just going to come over here again. Not be so stingy. I'm going to add a little more white and make a little bit more of the quantity that we need. There we go. Come on. Let's be generous. I mean, I went for years without selling my paintings, so I got in the habit very quickly to be frugal with my materials. And of course, I had to paint for years and years before start selling my artwork. So anyways, let's go back. I'll go back to camera number 1 over here then. And I'll bring in a little bit more of that purple. Again, my white paint is extremely stiff. So just add a little more water to it. So this is very light, so I guess I can add more of this purple. I don't want to go do things too rash, though, too quickly, because this purple overwhelms very quickly the white. So I do want to be careful. And in a few seconds, when all this is nice and homogeneous, I will try it on the canvas to make sure it's a little bit darker, keeping in mind that it's going to darken even more as it dries, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. So that looks like about the color that I had it. I don't know if you can tell the color that I had it when I did the background. So, should I add just a little more purple to it? Why not? Let's try that. Yeah, that's definitely darker now. So, let's go over to the main canvas here and take a look and see what it looks like. So I'm going to start on that upper left-hand corner. I'll zoom in so you can see. And let's try just a little bit right in here. So to my eyes, it looks like it's almost the same color as our background. The only way you on the camera can tell is because since it's wet, you have the light from the window shining on that. Now, I have to figure out, is that going to darken as it dries and give me that subtle shade that I was looking for? Or do I have to add a little more purple just to make it a whisker darker without regretting it, of course? So what I'm going to do, I just added just a little bit more of this purple. So you can barely see it, but it's a little bit darker right there. So let me move the camera to the side so I'm not in front of the lens. I hate that. And I'll move this back like that. I'm going to try this for a while. Hopefully this will dry and give it a little slightly darker shade. If not, I'll go over it with some more purple. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed for now and hope it's going to work out. I see some areas it's a little bit lighter, but just like that. Let's try it. Go on towards the other end. There's areas that are very dark, and that's because my paint is not properly mixed, not homogenized. That's okay. It's just shading so they can vary a little bit. On the contrary, that's what we want, so that's cool. By having some dark and light purple on my brush, I'm just killing it. Two birds with one stone, the dark and the light. So I can tell in my studio that it's already a little bit warmer than last week, which is a good sign. February, things are warming up here in southern France. And honestly, I can't wait. I'd rather sweat like a pig in the summer than freeze to death in the winter. So I have darker, lighter, all mixed in together because that's how it was on my brush. And that's okay. I don't mind that at all, actually. Actually, I just dipped my brush again just to encourage it of getting a little bit purplish, darker as well. So let me bring this over here and actually let's use this technology and actually zoom in. Just like that. Now you can see the darker and the lighter purple. Yeah, not very exciting, I must admit, during this phase of painting. The backgrounds are always kind of boring, always very short streams. But starting tomorrow, when we'll start adding the details, my electromagnetic waves and planets and God knows what, then it will be at least a little bit more interesting. It's going to be long and tedious, so who knows. I can see over in that upper area where it's nice and shiny right in here, that it's going to be a lot darker than what I want. So right away, I'm going to just grab the lighter of my purples where I have a lot of white, and I'm going to just go over it. Just like that. I don't want it to stick out too much, like I mentioned earlier. So hopefully by going over it a little bit like that, it will make it chill out. The same over here. So it is darkening quite a bit. Even though it's such a beautiful purple, really, and it is the background. It's no big deal. I guess I'm being a little picky, but hell, if I'm not picky, who's going to be picky, right? Well, let's get in here a little bit as well. Blend. I mean, a lot of this you'll never see because I'm going to have some plants on top of this as well. So plants and details, and well, God knows what you'll see in the end. Probably not much. There we go. So, Lord, I hate to say it, but I'm pretty much done for the day. I mean, if we were in the summertime, this would be easy. It would be a no-brainer because I would have my fan on full blast. By the time I get to this lower right-hand corner, the upper left-hand corner would be dry, and I could just work in a circle. That's how it is like 8 months out of the year. But unfortunately, with the dampness and the cold right now, that's not quite possible. So it's no big deal. I mentioned earlier it would be a very short stream, and indeed it is. 19 minutes. This has to be my record of the shortest stream ever. But that's the way it goes. Anyways, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank those who were on Instagram earlier, because just before I went on YouTube, I did a 10-minute, 12, 14-minute stream live on Instagram to show people basically how I set up my studio to do this YouTube stream. Because I find it fascinating to see the world of other painters, other artists in their studios. I just always found that very interesting. And so myself, I mean, ever since I started painting, I had a VHS camera and tried to record so I could show people what happens in the studio. So I always find that fascinating. If you're an artist out there, I urge you to do the same thing, because I went on YouTube and I couldn't find anybody that did this live stream on a daily basis. I'm here basically Monday through Fridays. Even without the cameras, I'd still be here doing what I love most, which is painting. So anyways, if you have a camera or something, do it. Go on Instagram, go on YouTube, show us how you do your artwork, you know, if it's in your living room or a huge studio, God knows what. Anyways, I find it always fascinating. So anyways, I want to thank you very much for joining me. I hope you'll join me tomorrow. I'll be here at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. if you're in France, or 7:30 if you're in New Delhi. Why not? It's the World Wide Web. I'll probably go on 15 minutes earlier on Instagram Live again, just to show how I show and set up my studio. And it's a good way for me to warm up as well and make sure I have nothing screwing up in the studio before I go on YouTube. Anyways, once again, my friends, I want to thank you very much. I'm going to leave you with two things like usual. I'm going to leave you with my schedule and by saying, ciao mes amis.